I can show you how it works. So imagine that this cartridge is there. This is just a cutaway, but imagine that the cartridge was fitted in the correct way and it was in this head. Then what would happen is the fuel will come through those slots and pass down on the outside of this filter media. And so what will happen is, because this is a hydrophobic or aquaphobic water repellent media, what will happen is the total fuel mix will run down this. And all the while that you have the pump pushing the fluid through the system, what will happen is only diesel with some particle contamination will move through this media. But the water, being free water or entrained water or water in suspension, will stay behind. It cannot pass through this media. So what will happen is the fuel will run down, the water in suspension and free water will run down to the bottom to the next fundamental that they've invented. So they have a proprietary water trap, which also acts as a drain that has high capacity to hold a lot of contamination and drain that out. So basically what happens is the total fuel mix comes down this cartridge, the water contamination or free water or water in suspension will run down to the water trap for drainage, and the fuel that has had the water removed will then move through this membrane and through the first stage of particle. This is a 10 micron cellulose media, which will remove then down to 10 micron particulate. The fuel will then pass through into the middle, the center of this cartridge from the outside. And what will happen is it will pass out the cartridge back into the system, into the next vessel, if there is a next vessel. And so what happens is when the fuel passes out through the middle over here up into the system, then what will happen is the fuel will then come up and move through that center porthole there. So these ports do not mix fuel at all. What comes in will be handled in accordance to the media and depth filtration, whereby subsequently the fuel will then move back out after it's had to pass through the media layers and then exit the system. Now, once that happens, that has already been passed through the water filtration system or the water separator. After the water separator, you have a particle cartridge like this. So iCerMax manufactures various cartridges, and this is a synthetic media, multi-layered, which has a woven stainless steel mesh that gives it the no bypass rule. So that's another fundamental that iCerMax is thought of, is the no bypass rule. So we've seen sites that actually prefer to have a filter fail and bypass, which means you have contaminated fuel that runs through filtration systems, and as soon as the filtration system starts loading and caking up and basically clogs the cartridges, what will happen is some filters will actually allow, by design, that pitting and tearing starts forming and the cartridges compromise, and from there, as a result, you will have then contaminated fuel still pass through. The problem with bypassing is you're spending money and time and effort in getting the filtration system set up, and if you have bypass, that means that you're just defeating your efforts. There should be no bypass rule.